because it took forever just for me to type in, like, try to. So, unfortunately, we'll chat for a couple minutes and then I just give up. It's not all of my planning and all of my work, and I just can't do it because we don't have the internet. I'm slightly sarcastic and annoyed by it. Can you tell? I know, I am too. It's just really tell the kids to go play outside. All right, I wish they were kids and I could do that, but they're adults now. Watch a family movie. Well, they probably are, but on Netflix. And this one's watching Netflix, and this one's watching Netflix, and this one's watching Netflix, and then this one's playing a game online, and this one's playing a game online, and this one's playing a game online, and this one. So it's like, I can't kick everyone in the world off. I just have to compete for my slice. Have a party with crackers and cheese. No, we have to have whining. All right. So is it just as bad? You are the mama. I know. Is it still buffering, guys? Time doesn't seem as bad, maybe. Ooh, let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we can do this. Okay, let's hope. All right, beautiful. Good. Yay. Okay. Now I'm going to take a deep breath and shit. I was going to light a candle, but of course, oh yes, I do. But I bet you this has no fluid in it, does it? Ooh, it does. Light. Okay. Woosah. All right. Oh no, buffering. No buffering. All right, guys. So anyways, I was at the main office. The problem is, we think that we will not be at the main office. And we think that they're going to reassign us into the main hospital to places that have lost a lot of people because they are now in quarantine because they got exposed. So now they got exposed. We're going to bring in the next crew and see if we can expose them too. Which is, while I understand and I see the need for us healthcare people to be there, it's a bit nerve-wracking. Just wear the right mask. Oh, you mean the N95 one that mammotechs don't get because we shouldn't be exposed to that stuff? Is that what you're talking about, Bob? That one? Yep. Yeah. But on Monday, I'm off. The good thing is I'm off until Monday now. I took a couple days for the holiday anyways. And things are changing so quickly that I'm like, you work in the lab and you don't even get N95. See, I know in Mammo, they're like, yeah, no, I don't even think we have one in the entire department. I know, guys. And understand, here's the thing, Danny, you're right. Get your hands on a duckbill one. I know, I would love to. There is not enough PPE in the hospital system for all healthcare workers to do things the safe way. And that's just the reality of it. I know I was watching the Monroe County Corona update today live on Facebook, and people were like, well, I had a baby at Highland Hospital and the nurse is coming in without a mask on. And I'm like, guys, there are not enough masks for every person to wear a mask for every patient. You can only wear a mask if someone has symptoms. Then you should be giving a mask to the patient who has symptoms, and not wearing. I mean, there just isn't enough to do things like that. And that's where we're at. Hopefully they start to manufacture more. I'm sure you're not, Kay. I'm sure we're probably buffering all over the place. Yes, that's why flattening the curve is so important, is because we need to make it so hopefully not as many people are exposed, so that the more people that stay home, the less people are exposed and end up in the hospital in intensive care, because we are not going to have enough intensive care beds and ventilators for the very sick people if that curve does not flatten out. I know, Bob, I know they do, but I understand they have to kind of save it some, because we kind of know what's coming. We have, like, we're not anywhere near the peak of what we have to be at. And when you listen to them talk about that curve, I don't know if you all understand it. I know those of us in healthcare, yes, yeah, kind of does. Those of us in healthcare kind of can see what they're saying. We have to prepare for, if the worst happens, what's the best thing we can do? And so if that curve keeps going straight up, we're not gonna get there. If we can at least flatten it out some, so that it takes a little bit longer, we don't go so straight up, then hopefully we will make it through that without what Italy had, which was really making decisions about who lives and who dies. So if at all possible for you guys to stay home, stay home. That is the biggest thing that you guys can do to help us healthcare workers, is to stay home. Because the less people that get exposed to this right now, the better equipped we will be to kind of handle things in the long run. Exactly. So just do the best you can, guys. That's all we can say, is if you at all possible to stay home, please do stay home. Absolutely. You're getting a lot done at home. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Let's just do the best we can. I was telling Shauna earlier that something I used to tell my kids, and I always think of when we're in a crisis situation, is to think of Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers used to talk about when we're in a scary situation, and everybody is scared. Look for the helpers. There's always those people who go in and try to help people and help the situation. And if you look for the helpers, it makes you feel like, you know what, we're okay. Let's just keep helping each other. Let's keep on moving forward. We can remember that, then we can get through this. Absolutely. So just remember that, guys, for the helpers. And Be good to each other. Be good to your neighbors. Yes, Mr. Rogers. He's so wonderful. I love Mr. Rogers. Light and love. That's right. Okay. All right, let's start and see how we do. If I'm just going to do it live, and if it's really bad, guys, and you can't understand it, then I will record a video about the exact same stuff. I'll record it tomorrow, and we'll upload it tomorrow. So let's try and see what we can get through. All right. And as I say that, it starts that circle of death. So the name of this class incorporates a lot, really a lot. Magical tools, altar setup, ritual design, and spellcrafting. That is a lot of information to kind of pour into one place. I know it's a lot of information. Yes, please do hit that like button if you can. I want to at least touch on as much of it as we can. And again, keep in mind that the most important part is encouraging you to do your own exploration of what will work for you. I'm going to give you some ideas of each thing. I'm going to give you things I felt like I needed, what things I found where, and how I started to develop a magical working area and what to do magical working wise, and how to think about what to do. And that's kind of hard when you're first starting out. I know it's kind of hard to think, wow, spellcraft or magical workings or rituals, or how am I supposed to write my own, or how do I know what to say, or and you don't have to know what to say. You don't have to ever write. Let me tell you this right now. If you're a writer, if you are good at writing poems and that kind of stuff, and you can absolutely write your own rituals from start to finish. If you are not a writer, you still can put together your own rituals from start to finish. And the way you can do that, because we have this access to technology, the way you can do that is by searching on the internet for rituals or looking into my Pinterest page, because let me tell you, there's a ton of information. When I say, guys, those of you who have not looked at my Pinterest page yet and are taking this class, can I just say, at some point this weekend, I really encourage you to just open up my Pinterest page, because pretty close to everything that you want to look up, there is something there for it. I have worked on this Pinterest page for years now. It is scary. It is scary big. I try to separate as much of the information as I can so that you can find the information that you're looking for. So there's different sections. There is lots and lots of information. So even if you don't have one book about witchcraft, about paganism, about rituals, about spellcraft, look at Pinterest. Yes, I have a Pinterest board for every single holiday. Every single Sabbath has its own to give you ideas for that Sabbath. I have an entire section of Book of Shadows boards. So where it says BOS at the front, BOS tools. So that's for altar tools. That'll give you ideas for all your altar tools. I have BOS correspondences. So that will give you all the correspondences you need. I think I have like 10 different Book of Shadows boards. And that is, stuff about that. Try days. Yeah, you could. I made this Pinterest and I could get lost in there. But there is lots and lots and lots of information there. So use that. as a tool. Please use that as a tool. It's not just my Pinterest page, but I will tell you that if you are in this class, you will like that page. Yes, they are definitely extensive. All right, let's talk about, we're going to start with magical tools. Let's, at first I'd like to define what I mean when I say magical tools. What does that mean? Because it's kind of a big subject. And you're kind of like, I don't know, what does that include? For me, magical tools are any material good used in witchcraft, healing, ritual, spell, or magical working to assist in raising vibrational energy. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. Magical tools. And this will be in your notes. Tools for magic. Exactly, that's it. Are any material good used in witchcraft, healing, ritual, spell, or magical working to assist in raising vibrational energy. That is my definition. When I use that term, magical tool, that's what I mean. Okay? So it is a tangible thing that you can touch. Any tangible thing you can touch that you will use to raise vibrational energy. Will you be giving us the ritual info tonight? You mean the self-dedication stuff? No, I will pass that out tomorrow though. Okay? Assist, like it's the helpers. Exactly that. It is the helpers, for sure. So let's give some examples of what magical tools are. Crystals. Oh, so much crystals, right? Let's talk about raising vibrational energy. Crystals are a huge help in raising vibrational energy. You know that different crystals will raise different energies. Absolutely, for sure, any spell work that you do, any ritual that you do, any healing that you do, you can pick out specific crystals that will help you raise that energy. So anytime you're going to do, my massage wand is good for vibrations. Oh, I love you. That's great. Anything in the Witchy Hall videos on YouTube. Exactly, yes. Lilies, incense, dragons, yes. Absolutely. Speaking of, check out Amethyst Crystal Call to Action. Ooh, I will look at that, Be Young. Tarot cards, yes, for sure. Okay, altar tools. So let me give you an example of the most common altar tools. Okay. Let's talk about the wand, because very often that is the tool that you think of when you think of raising energy and witches and paganism and ritual. You think of the wand, and the wand is actually a tool that we use, or some of us use. And keep in mind, let me tell you before we go into all of this, because again, the name of my channel used to be Willowin the Thrifty Witch. There is a reason for that, because I still don't have a whole lot of money. So I don't have to have a whole lot of money in order to follow this path. Don't forget that. In fact, you don't need any tool whatsoever other than your brain. You can acquire tools without money if you need to. Go outside, pick up a stick that one of the trees has lent to you. There is no reason that you need to spend money if you do not have it. Okay? And in my Beginner Witch series, there's like 2 videos, I think, where I talk about how to acquire some of the tools. Yay! Acquire some of the tools that you want to have for being a witch without having to spend a whole lot of money. Okay. So the wand. This is my first wand I made myself. I found a piece of branch that one of my grandmother's trees had dropped for me. I got a cheap carving knife, which really is just, you know, you get them all over the place at what am I trying to say? At flea markets and at you know, any place they do knives. They have all kinds of little carving knives that you can use to whittle down the bark. Then I took sandpaper and I sanded it down so I wouldn't get slivers. I happen to have a pyrography thing. Now this is, so you're talking, my kids were little. I bet you this wand is, I'm trying to think of how old Joey was. He had to be about 7, maybe 6. So this wand is definitely over 10 years old. So I had a pyrography thing. That is a pentacle. I'm not very artsy craftsy, don't forget. I'm not real great at drawing, so that was, but it's mine, so it has my intention burned into it. This is a goddess with, you know, a spiral in the center. Not great. Pyrography is burning wood burning kit. And you can find them sometimes when you're thrifting, guys. They have them all the time when you're thrifting. So I did a goddess, and I did a triple moon on the end. Not great, but it's my energy. And then I got some copper wire and a really cheap amethyst point. And I wrapped the copper wire around the amethyst point to the end. This is my wand. It's been my wand. It's my favorite wand. I use it probably the most that I use. And I have all kinds. I'll show you my other examples here. I've since gotten all kinds of wands. But this is the one I use the most. Because I made it, it is very special to me because it's geared directly to my energy. So a wand does a lot of things. Let's talk about it. The wand is a popular tool in magic, whether in the magic wand of the fairy godmothers or the staff of the magicians in the fairy tales. It's be nice if I could read my own handwriting. First of all, it's masculine energy, so it goes on the god side. If you have a god and goddess side on your altar, not everyone does. It goes on the god side. You use it during ritual and during healing and during spell work to direct energy. You use it when you're casting a circle to direct the energy where you want it to go. You use it when you want to raise vibrational energy. You can whip it up and raise it up into the air. You can invoke gods and goddesses and spirits, so you can raise it in the air and imagine. Now, when you do this, you are mentally picturing the energy that you're using to come through your, extensions of yourself. Yes, to come through your arms, through the wand, and through the crystal, if you have one, through the wood, which raises that vibrational energy and shoots out the end to direct that energy exactly where you want it to go. Okay? It can be any kind of wood that you want. It can be a crystal. It can be metal if you want. It can, whatever you want it to be. The only thing is I would recommend, they have resin ones, and I actually have a whole bunch of resin ones that are like Harry Potter wands and stuff. I would recommend, if you have a resin one, putting a crystal or something at the end, because the resin, for me anyways, maybe you found differently, but unless it's specifically like the orgonite stuff, regular resin does not increase energy. It doesn't hold energy. It's like plastic to me, and it really just, like, the energy stops when it hits the resin. Yes, Many of you, yep, many people use your hands or your fingers or, yep, absolutely. And that's okay too. You can draw symbols on your candles, in the air, sigils. Draw the sigil that you want to do in the air when you're doing ritual, when you're building energy, anything like that. It's a gentler tool than the Athame, which we'll talk about in a minute. To me, the wand directs that energy, and the Athame is that power tool, okay? Which is a little bit different. All right, hang on. I'm missing stuff. My wand I bought at one of my first tool years ago. My son has taken it now, and I never really used it. It's a wood with a that's okay. Sometimes it's funny. I still use mine. Really, I have it on my altar most of the time, and I don't use it. And that's okay. See, your wand is just a resin Harry Potter wand. That's okay. My teacher says resin doesn't hold energy well. I don't believe it does either, but it's still, if you feel like that resin directs the energy to where you want to go, then it does. Absolutely. For me, when it hits the resin, it kind of stops there and it doesn't, it's like skips through it. I do have a couple resin ones that I don't have out right now, but what I have done is wrapped copper wire around it so that that will then hold the energy, and put a little crystal on the end of it, and that helps it to, for me, to feel more like it's doing something with that energy. I can't believe you found wood burning kits in your secondhand stores. I have found more than one. I have 2 of them, I think. Absolutely. Organites wouldn't work if resin stops energy. And exactly, Jess. If I don't feel organites very well if the copper isn't on the outside at the bottom, I don't feel them very well. And again, if it works for you, it works. For me, it feels like it just stops that energy, and it doesn't. But organites, I have to say, are made specifically with stuff inside that is very energetic. So that's, at least for me, that's part of it is, it specifically has gold pieces or silver pieces or crystals or that kind of stuff. If it's just pure resin for me, boy, it just feels like, it's stuck there. But it doesn't have to be for everyone, and not everyone feels that. Some people, just like, don't forget, rose quartz for me does nothing. I just don't feel a damn thing from it. I don't know why. I've tried a million times. I think it's very pretty. It just is like a dead stone to me. It does nothing. But there are a lot of people that hold rose quartz and feel this wonderful loving energy, and I totally get that. But it just doesn't for me. It doesn't do it. Yes, a sigil is something that you create to increase the power of the energy that you're working with. And we'll talk more about that later. This is a Priapac wand, different kind of wand. This is specifically, we just talked about this for Imbolc. I use this only for Imbolc. This represents the god. It has a pine cone at the end and a big, huge cinnamon stick. And I have wrapped ribbon around it, and it's held on with some hemp cord. I have an Organite Scully with awesome energy. I do too. Except that for me, the energy is through it with the crystals and stuff. But if it didn't have the copper wire that I feel outside of the Organite at the in the back, I would feel like it got stuck in there. But that's me. That's only because that's how I feel that. Did I see somebody say that's too penisy for me? That is exactly what it's supposed to be. So if it is, yep. That's way too penisy for me. And it's exactly what it's supposed to be. The god, for sure. This is a wand that I was given years ago. This is bamboo, which is hollow. So they have put quartz crystals at either end and have taken wire and put chakra beads here. And then another quartz crystal. So this is just an example of how else, a different kind of wand that you could make. I literally don't think I ever used this, but it was given to me, and I love it. I think it's really cool. I think I've set it out on my altar a couple times, but just an example. This is a wand that I bought from somewhere, an auction, I think. And it's wood. And this is a little bit more elaborate. Like, it's wood. It's obviously somebody, took great care to make that, and has the little, had some kind of machine shop or woodworking stuff that they could put that stuff into the wood. And then there's a carnelian at the end here that was done in clay, and the quartz point at the end. Very, very fancy, very pretty wand. This one I know I have never used. So that's just to show you that sometimes are the ones that you make, because this is beautiful. I love this wand. I don't use it because I kind of feel like it's not mine. It doesn't have my energy in it. And I don't know, maybe I've never taken the time to work with it enough. But just keep that in mind. Sometimes the best tools are the ones that you make. Perfect. See? Bamboo. It's a perfect thing to do. For sure. Okay, so that is for directing energy. Let's talk about, we're going to skip down through this. Let's talk about the Athame. But the one I use is a stick I found on a walk. See, right? And that is me too. Mine is the first one that I made, that I burned the symbols into. This is my go-to wand. If I'm gonna use a wand, I always reach for that one. Just happens. Glass inkwell, right? It could. So the Athame. The Athame is usually a wood-handled knife, although not always. It is also used to direct energy and manipulate the power of the energy. For me, the difference between a wand and an Athame for me is that the Athame is like a power tool. It is much more explosive, I guess. When I am doing a circle casting, usually I use the Athame, because there's something about the Athame for me that seems to conduct that energy better. That might be just in my head. All I could tell you is that's how I feel. When I'm using a wand, it directs the energy that's already there. The Athame for me, it feels like it enhances that energy a bit more and really blows it out. Again, that may just be for me. You have to tweak your own stuff. You have to try your own stuff. I found sometimes don't connect with objects because they're not for me. Yeah, that's true. I have too. I have a dagger. I keep it at my desk for protection. I keep it beside me when I open the door. Had a lady try and push her way in, and she stopped when I showed her my dagger. Woo, Lady Hawk. Holy moly. Made from a throwing knife. Absolutely. There's all kinds of different Athames. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different examples of that too. Perfect. Thank you, Danny. I'd love to see that. If you guys have some of these tools and you want to show your tools, we'd love to see them for sure. Many times an Athame has a black handle. I don't think any of mine have a black handle. It doesn't have to. It doesn't always have to have a wood handle. It doesn't, there's all kinds of different athames. It doesn't have to be made of metal. It should not be sharp. An athame should not be sharp because its purpose isn't for cutting. Its purpose is for directing energy. Now, it can be like, if you stabbed someone with an athame, it can be fatal. But you shouldn't be sharpening it. What I'm trying to say. Like, you shouldn't be sharpening it like you would a knife that you're going to use, that kind of stuff. It directs the energy. Again, it holds God energy, which is why I feel like it's more powerful. Because it holds that God energy, and it allows that God energy to direct exactly where you want the energy to go. For me, that is much more of a demand, is direct this energy right here. Okay? So, some of the athames that I have. This was the first athame I ever got. I found it at a flea market. And it has a little tiger on it, and I still use this once in a while. It is an actual knife. It's not really sharp because I don't sharpen it. But it is an actual knife. And I used this for years. I think I got it for $6 at a flea market. This is an athame. This is also called a purba. I'm sure I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But in Hinduism, this directs energy through it in a continuous loop. And so this athame is a little bit different. Again, not sharp at all, but comes to a point. This athame is a letter opener. Athame of Wiccan origin. I would guess that yes, probably it came from Wicca. I don't recall hearing ancient wisdom about athames, although I will tell you that the stories of the Taliesin and Arthur and Merlin and that kind of thing, he used a special dagger. So I don't think they called it an athame, but they did use things to direct energy. So that's a letter opener. It's just a fancy letter opener. I actually bought that from Gypsy, who I don't think she's here tonight, but was at Tarot Stock last year. This is a wooden letter opener. That is an athame. Literally a wooden letter opener. You can use this. Keep in mind, we're directing energy here. We are not trying to cut things with this. We are just directing energy. Letter opener for, yep, absolutely. Wait, mine is an athame again now. What's the difference between directing energy with a wand versus an athame? Again, for me, a wand, directing that energy is using my energy and directing the energy that I'm pulling through and directing it to where I need it to be. An athame, for me, because it also holds the God energy in it, it is more powerful. So it still directs the energy to where I want to go, but it's almost like you're commanding through the God. You're saying, my God, the horned gods, Cernunnos, whoever you use, Poseidon as your God, my God is directing your energy to be here, damn it. It's a more of a power thing for me. It kind of increases that energy. Again, that may only be me. If you have a different experience, That's okay. If it works for you, it works. I'm just telling you what my experience has been. Here it's considered what? Hold on. But it doesn't represent, no, this does not technically represent a penis, no. However, for certain things, for Beltane ritual, you will put the athame inside the chalice to simulate the great rite. So it can, because it does hold the god energy. Everything that looks like a penis in paganism, kind of, can be symbolized for the penis. Soon as it's double-edged, it's not a tool but a weapon, and here we need a reason to own weapons. Ooh, no kidding. In ancient Egypt, they did use blades in ritual, even to cast circles. Many gods and other protective beings are given knives. Yep. They just didn't call them athames. Penises everywhere, that's right. For sure. Is that all the athames I brought up? Yes. Okay. There is another tool that is like a knife, which is called a bowling knife, kept sharp. This is an actual knife that is kept sharp. Most of the time, this is not a typical bowling knife. Usually, they are a half moon shape. Usually that curve, mine is curved because of the antler on the end, but usually they're half moon shape on the end. And what you use the bowling knife for is to cut your herbs. The herbs that you are going to use for your magical workings. Exactly. You're harvesting your herbs with a bowling knife. The reason is that when you grow herbs on your own or whatever else you're growing for your magical workings, you want to be consistent with the energy from beginning of that seed until the end of whatever you're doing with that herb. So the working, the spell, the incense you use it for, you keep that energy consistent. So when you plant the seed, you're thinking, I am planting this seed of sage because I want this sage to be protective and cleansing. You plant the seed. When you go out to water the seed, you're saying protecting and cleansing energy. Protecting and cleansing energy. I'm feeding that protective and cleansing energy of this seed of sage. When you go out and talk to your herbs, I do. I don't know what to tell you. When I'm good, I do. Thank you, sun, for coming and nourishing my protective cleansing energy of my sage. So when your sage is all grown up and ready now to be harvested, you use a specific knife called a bowling knife. If you don't have a bowling knife, it's okay. You can still grow your herbs and use them for magical workings. I would recommend, though, at least having some kind of knife for harvesting your magical workings and only using it for that. I don't use this knife to cut cake or steak or anything else. I use this only for harvesting my herbs. Does that make sense? Hi, Wendy. And again, that is because I only want to use that energy that I have dedicated for that purpose. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Any questions about that before I go on? Oh, spell it. Bowling. B-O-L-I-N-E. That's right. But it's against 90% of books not to have a bowling knife if you grow herbs, though. I was going to say, shut up, Danny. Yes. Yeah. You definitely, B-O-L-I-N-E, bowling knife. Yes. Do you have a special knife for blood rituals too? I will tell you, I do not, because I don't do blood rituals. I think there is very few times that I have used any blood in any ritual for me. And I'm trying to remember what I used to harvest that. I know I at least consecrated whatever I used. I can't remember for the life of me what the heck it was that I used though. Because it's been so long. I bet you I've only twice or three times used blood in any of my spell work. Blood for me is although I use my ancestors and the spirits of my ancestors, I don't know. It just has never. It's never been connection for me to use blood that much. All right. So no other questions about that. Perfect. What are we at? 46 minutes. All right, the Athame. I want to really quickly talk about the stang or the staff. It's not a tool that many people have. I did not have a stang for a long time, and then one year something came up and I thought, oh my goodness, this is super powerful to me, and I really feel like I love this tool. I use it mostly in the summertime. Let me grab it because it's behind here. I do not pull it out usually until Beltane. And my stang is, again, a piece of wood that was given to me by the gods. It is taller than me. I took the bark off of it. And other than that, I did not do anything to this. It was given to me by the gods just this way, without the ribbons on it. But my stang, not every stang, most stangs only have 2 forks, like 1, 2. This happens to have 3. Ah, shit. Am I frozen? Am I frozen? Thawed? Frozen? Wait, are we talking about freezing something else? Okay. Most stangs only have 2 forks. Mine happens to have 3. See the, I'm trying to, I don't know if you can see. See there are very distinctive markings on my stang. Hold on. You see the circles? I'm not sure what they are from, but they are on 2 of the horns here of the stang. And like I said, nature pretty much just handed me this stang as is. I did very little. There's a couple places that I sanded down so I wouldn't get hurt. But this stang really was given to me as is. And I use it starting at Beltane in the summertime to represent my horned god at ritual. And I will tell you that it has become very, very important to me. Can you see it better now? Kind of standing up. You can see how big it is against the backdrop there. It's become very, very important to me. And not a lot of people use a stang. And I didn't even know what it was when it was given to me by nature. I really had to figure out why I was given this staff. The stang represents stability and is often seen held by the god. It's a forked staff. It represents the axis from which all things revolve around. Represents the axis from which everything else revolves around. So when you are holding the staff, it means that you are standing at the center of the universe. It can be used as an altar, and when placed in the ground, it becomes a focus for the ritual site and is decorated in seasonal foliage to symbolize the different festivals of the witch's year. Thought a stang was to hold your roll when spinning. I'm sure some people do that. I have plans for a storm staff. I got a copper Thunderbird charm, but I still need the stick. Lightning charms, 3-eye charms. Perfect. That's awesome. Awesome. Yes, S-T-A-N-G. Yes. For sure. Yes. Like I said, when I was given this stang, I didn't know much about it. I didn't really understand what it was for. I just knew that it was from the god, the horned god specifically. And I thought, wow, and I knew it was really powerful. And I knew I needed to use it for ritual to represent the horned god in my mind's eye. Could be, for sure, be young. Yep, that could be. Yep. Mustangs. Yes, yes, yes. So that is, keep your eye out for ritual tools that you may not know what they are. Sometimes nature will give you something and you think, okay, this is definitely a ritual tool. This is definitely something that has to be on my altar. It's definitely something that I'm supposed to be using. And sometimes you have to do a little research to figure out what it is that nature has given you. And that's okay. Don't forget, if it works for you, it works, right? All right, the cup or the chalice or the goblet, however you want to call it, is that the only one I brought? Didn't I bring another one? I have like 30 of these, so I can't believe I only brought one up. Because I find interesting ones at Goodwill all the time. This one happens to be silver. And I end up getting them because I do altar kits sometimes. So I do have a bunch of different chalices. They can be glass, they can be silver, they can be copper, they can be metal, they can be whatever you feel that they should be. It is a representation of the goddess. It holds within it the wisdom that can benefit all beings. Staff, thank you. You guys don't need, thank you. I'm trying to just say thank you and let it go. But thank you. A little bit kiddo, bedtime, that's okay. The stang is a tool for wool as part of a Nordic tradition where revolvers always wear spinners. The work with yarn was part of the magic. Cool. Yep, so your tools could be many or few. Absolutely. I have a branch on my wall in the garage. I love it and I want to make a wand. Awesome. For sure. Steph, thank you, sweetie. It's okay to use a teacup? Sure, absolutely. If you feel like that teacup represents a goddess to you, for sure. Glass, pottery, silver, copper, blue glass. Yep, I have a blue glass one with a silver pentacle on it. Clay, for sure. Yep. It is also the body of the goddess. It is used to hold the wine on the altar in ceremonies. The goddess is often depicted holding the cup. In this manifestation, she is there to bestow wisdom upon all who call to her, as she has only the best interest of humanity at heart. So it can be a goblet, a ritual cup. You use it only for ritual purposes, though. Again, if you are going to have an altar tool that you use as an altar tool, I highly recommend that you do not use a glass from your cupboard that you're going to use as a drinking glass again. You certainly can use a glass from your cupboard and consecrate it, cleanse it, and dedicate it to your workings, but you want to use an altar tool as only that altar tool. You don't really want to use your everyday water glass for a chalice and then go back to using it as an everyday water glass. It should hold that energy that you want it to hold for you. Does that make sense? It's a symbol of fertility and abundance. It represents the element of water and the goddess. It's also the offering cup to the deities and to each other. Any questions about the chalice? My favorite tool as of late is my crystal bowls. Ooh, right? Heck yeah. Why did I just ask that? Just curious. I'm an old lady who is a late bloomer and always wanted to be a witch. Pets daily. I have an athame for a candle carver and an athame that is on my altar. Perfect. I have repurposed things that belong to grandmothers and then they bring their ancestor magic to altar. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. And I'm so with you on that. I love going to Goodwill. Absolutely. And Goodwill is an awesome place. 90% of what I have came from Goodwill and Savers. What comment? Did I miss it? Pat's a dude, not a Pat. Saturday Night Live. I remember Saturday Night Live, Pat. No, everyone knows you didn't mean anything by it, Be Young. I have a little cat tea set. I can use one of the cups for Bast as an offering cup. Awesome. For sure. I had to stop going to Goodwill because I was finding too much. Phelan, me too. I haven't been to Goodwill in months. It's been months. I think since before Yule, I think. Can't remember, but I think. So that's the chalice. Let's go to the besom. The besom or the broom, okay? The broom is a powerful symbol of witchcraft. It's become associated with flight. You see the witches flying on their broomsticks. There is an element of that in magic that you can do. It's through your astral travel. Talk about that ever or not. The broom has many symbols. It can be seen as the conjoining of the two forces of creation. The handle becomes the god, and the brush that the handle is inserted to is the goddess. When holding the broom, one is therefore in balance with the two powers. It's a ritual tool for sweeping and cleansing and can be used to prepare magic circle, even casting one in some cases. It's used for cleaning the house of unwanted energies, such as sweeping out the old year at Halloween. In spring, it can be used for the traditional spring cleaning, and as you enter into autumn, it's also useful to clear the home before we gather ourselves for winter. It is said that a broom next to the door of a house will protect the home, and it is traditionally used in a jump over the broom to seal the commitments it's made. Have you ever made your own besom? Yes, I have. Absolutely. And I did not bring that one up here, but I have made my own. Usually I make it from rosemary and a twig. Mine is usually little. So yes, see, they can be as big or as little as you want. I found, and I have like 30 of them. So I figured I could use them in altar kits. So you can sweep away the energy, the bad energy. I have a huge bamboo one. You can also, they can be regular sized brooms, they can be smaller, they can be bigger, however, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Whatever you find. It's funny, as you go on in the craft, the more you look for altar tools and magical working tools, the more you find. So don't be surprised if you turn around and suddenly your house is full of different altar tools, because you just can't, like you see it at Goodwill and suddenly you have 12 brooms. Because you're like, oh, okay. I suddenly, like every time I see one, I'm like, oh, look, a besom. And suddenly I have a bunch. It's been a while for sure. I haven't felt the pull to go either. Boy, Jen, you really do your homework. Sounds like a 2-part class. I know it. I know. And shoot, I told you guys this was going to be a big one. Yep, cinnamon brooms. Oh, that's a perfect example. They are usually cheap. When autumn comes, you can get one at Walmart and dedicate it to your magical workings. And they smell amazing, and they're great for protection. So cinnamon broom absolutely can be used for a besom. Yep. I had a roofer come in yesterday. He flipped out. Sorry, guys, I'm behind. Yeah, great smell. Ugh, such a great smell. Have I missed any up here? Wand, stang, chalice, besom, athame, cauldron. Okay, so you may not know that I have a habit of buying every cauldron I see. I'm kind of bad with that. Yes, you can actually buy witches' brooms. Absolutely. There is some awesome websites. As a matter of fact, one of the things, if you go onto my Pinterest page and go under BOS, Book of Shadows, tools, you will find all kinds of examples of besoms that I love that are specifically made for witches' brooms. There are some gorgeous witches' brooms out there that are absolutely stunning, that people with many more talents than me make, and they make them beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so I have lots of cauldrons. I buy every cauldron that I see. For some reason, it just happens. There's almost nothing I can do about it. It's like Hexen and I both, for some reason, see a cauldron and we like have to get it. I think because for a long time, it's you think, oh my God, I can't find a cauldron. I didn't have a cauldron, like an actual cauldron, forever, it seems like. So every time I see a cauldron now, I'm like, oh look, that can be used as a cauldron. That can be used as a cauldron. Oh look, there's a cauldron. So I don't know how many I have. Way too many. Hexen has the same problem. But a cauldron normally has feet, so that it will not burn the bottom of your altar. If it does not, I didn't bring a holder with me, but there are lots of different things you can use to hold this up. Or you can use a hot plate or a piece of stone to put it on so that it doesn't burn your altar. Cake pan, perfect. Mini lodge pot with feet, perfect. Absolutely. There are all kinds of things you can use as a cauldron. Let's talk about what the cauldron symbolizes. The cauldron symbolizes the womb, the goddess's womb, so the place where life is created. The cauldron is a very special tool in that way, because it is the very essence of where life originates. It is the womb of the goddess. To me, I that's why I think I love the cauldron, because it is very symbolic of earth, of the creation of what you're trying to do. So any energy that I put in there, to me, becomes that much more powerful, because I am putting it into the womb of what I want to make. This is my creation point. I love that. It represents fire or water. You can fill it with water to scry from. You can use it to burn incense in. You can use it to burn intentions in. You can write. That's what I use. I use an altar when it's the new moon, and I burn my Reiki basket stuff. When people say to me, "Put me in your Reiki basket," I put you in here, and I perform Reiki on it every night. And on the new moon, I burn those intentions. Usually, I haven't done it for a while. I'm behind. I burn those intentions, and I make. I then mix that with the ashes from those intentions. I need to see. You can tell I haven't done it in a while. It's getting low. I mix that with the ashes with my salt, my rock salt, and that becomes black salt. And you can use black salt for all kinds of things. I sprinkle a little bit in it when I do ritual baths. You can use it to collect moon and rainwater. You can use it to brew stuff like oil and herbal mixtures. You can hold large candles for spell work. It can be any type. I have big, huge cauldrons. I have little cauldrons. I have way too many. But keep in mind that anything that you can get burn stuff into can be a cauldron. If you look at the video where I was showing all kinds of stuff right before Yule, I think, or right before we did Dana's auction, I showed my tool, the cabinet where I put all my tools, and I showed a bunch of my cauldrons and chalices and stuff then. So if you look there, I give you a whole bunch of examples of different cauldrons that you can find at Goodwill all the time. When I go to Goodwill, I will tell you right now, I always find at least one cauldron at Goodwill. Always. Let's move on. Bells. Bell. This is the one I normally use for Ostara because it's like very springy. See that? Bells. Bells is an altar tool. Why is bells an altar tool? You ring it to clear the space of energy. Any negative energy is supposed to run and hide from the sound of your ritual bell. Can be used many different ways to seal the spell work. You can ring it to mark the end of a ritual. You can hang one on your front door to guard your home. You can use it to invoke the gods and goddesses and the elements. So when you are calling in the elements, you can ring the bell. You can use it to clear and charge your crystals and your ritual tools. The bell is feminine. It's on the goddess side of the altar. Yes. Where does black salt come from? It comes from ashes, honey, that you mix with salt, with sea salt. You take the sea salt and you mix ashes or coal. I mix ashes of magical workings that I have used. So like I said, when I make my black salt, I mix the ashes from when I burn my Reiki intentions. I mix that and mix that with with sea salt, and that becomes my black salt. Black salt does not have to be black. If you want it to be, it can be, but you can see this is ash colored because I that's how I make mine. I do not need my black salt to be totally black. If you do, you can add charcoal discs, which we didn't talk about, but this is, you can use charcoal discs. This is where I keep my charcoal discs to try to keep the water out of it. You can use charcoal discs when you are burning incense, loose incense, or in your cauldron, or you can crush them up and use them to make your black salt blacker if you want to have it very black. I don't need it to be really black for me. For one thing, I use it in my ritual baths, so I don't like it to be too black, because then it'll, you know, please put me in. Sure. For your bronchitis? Absolutely. Yep. For sure. There's Mr. Chunk. I haven't seen him tonight. He was on the couch for a little while, but you two. Okay, Karen. Heading in. Okay. So we talked about that. Offering dishes. Keep in mind, guys, you don't need any of this. Oh my God, we're over an hour. I am such a blabbermouth. Why did I think this was going to go faster? I don't know why. That was silly of me. Offering dishes can be anything. I can't tell you how many offering dishes I have because I find them at Goodwill all the time. There's just these little, like I use this one for autumn all the time. I got these ones. I'm trying to remember. These are banded calcite. I got these. I can't remember. Someplace. Yes, ashes from your incense. Yes, yes, yes. Offering dishes can be any little, you know, the plates from your teacup. They can be any little dish that you find. I have found a trillion of them. They can be really cute. They can be really simple. They can be silver little dishes. They can be, I knew it was going to be a long class. I know, but I didn't know it was going to be this long. I'm really working myself up tonight. So they are used for offerings for the god and goddess. So if you're a person who works with deity, you're going to want to have a god and goddess representation on your altar, which we haven't really talked about yet, but can be a million different things, guys. It can be a gold and silver candle. It can be 2 white candles that you carve horns on one candle and an infinity symbol on another candle. It can be these two. I found these two at Goodwill again. Many times you will find little busts. And I thought these were great god and goddess representations. It can be statues. It can be a statue, a little figurine of a rabbit and a deer. It can be a stuffed animal. It can be a picture that you print out of a god you like and a goddess you like. What else? There's a million different representations. But once you have those representations, you should have a little offering dish for each, for the god and the goddess. Now, what you put in them is up to you. it works for you, it works. I will tell you that for me, my God for ritual, 90% of rituals that I do, my God for ritual wants salt. And my goddess wants some form of water usually for ritual. Be that, it depends on the ritual. Sometimes storm water, sometimes rose water, sometimes moon water, sometimes Florida water. It depends on the ritual. Sometimes wine. I will tell you that most pagans have wine in their chalice for their goddess, for ritual. I'm just not a big alcohol drinker. I don't drink wine. I mean, once in a while. But so most of the time, it depends on the goddess too. If I'm working with Sekhmet, she gets beer. If I'm working with, I'm trying to think of what I give to my gods. Some of my gods have whiskey or something like that. Hecate likes vodka. My Hecate offerings a lot of times are vodka. But I'm not a person that will drink alcohol very much. So if I have any kind of alcohol, it's usually in these little teeny things. In my chalice, I usually have what I consider to be the liquid refreshment for that Sabbath. So like Ostara is tomorrow. For Ostara, you have to think of a spring recipe. What would you drink in the spring that you wouldn't normally drink? So I would say like lavender lemonade. I might make lavender lemonade. Hecate gets vodka from you too. Aha! I didn't know if that was just me. Or regular lemonade or some kind of really like tangerine something. Usually I go to the store and look at what they have and I get, inspired. In the fall, so like for Mabon and Lunasa and stuff, usually I have cider. Once in a while I will have mead for like Litha. Honey is a big thing that the goddess likes a lot. White wine, right? A wine cooler for sure. I've had, what did I have? For Samhain, I had butterbeer. That was actually like butterscotch soda. That was different. It was kind of cool. Where does one acquire mead? You can make it yourself, Steph, or you can get it at specialty shops. I'm trying to think of where I got mine last year. I think it was just Wegmans, because Wegmans is that goofy. Wegmans just has, I don't know if I'm not, I know a lot of you don't know what Wegmans is. It's in, it started in Rochester, and now it's in the Northeast mostly. But Wegmans is kind of weird. It has some weird stuff. If it's a ritual that I feel like they would want wine, I will tell you, yes, Ostara is tomorrow. I will tell you that I get a very specific brand, and now I can't think of it, of kosher grape juice, which is just amazing. And it tastes like wine without the alcohol. So to me, it's like, oh, that's awesome. No, they do not have to be glass. Not at all. These are stone. Offering dishes can be wood, can be pottery, can be, I'm trying to think of what else I have. Wood, pottery, glass, stone, ceramics. I think I have some ceramics. Offering dishes can be whatever. Marble, seashells, yep, stone, for sure. I know of Wegmans Pharmacy since I got my psoriasis injectable there. Yep. Yes, shells, absolutely. Especially like it's summertime is a great time to have shells on the altar, for sure. All right. What else? Censer. You want, if you're going to have incense on the altar, you can have a little incense censer, a little dish that you can put incense in. Incense represents the air, the air element. You can burn charcoal with incense in there, resins, gums. You can use this for meditation. It comes in all kinds of different, this is like a normal censer, but you can use a fireproof dish. You can use your cauldron as a censer technically. I have a little star dish that is has a candle holder kind of, and I put the little cone incenses in it as a censer. Cinnamon hearts. Okay, altar cloths. Let's talk about altar cloths real quickly. Altar cloths protect the wood on your altar, and let's be honest, they're really aesthetically, they are used to look pretty and coordinate your altar some, right? So they can be made out of anything cloth. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm trying to see if I can figure out where this one is. Try to not use your grandmother's hand knit blanket for your altar cloth, because no matter what you do, you're going to get burns, candle wax, wine, or offerings. You're going to get stuff on your altar cloths. Oh, you can kind of tell, look, that had wax on it, and it kind of discolored it a little. You're going to your altar cloth. Don't pick a handmade heirloom from your ancestors, because they will get stuff on them. You can pick something that you like a lot and is pretty, but I have, my altar cloths are used for, and they all have little marks on them, and they all have little candle wax where candle wax was. To me, it just means it's been used. It's well loved. Yeah, nothing precious to you. A great thing to get for your altars, if you're going to have just a little simple altar, is a fat quarter. It's really easy, simple. They come in all kinds of different colors, and they're cheap. You go to Walmart and get a fat quarter for like what, $1? $2 sometimes, depending on what the thing is. Fat quarters make great altar cloths because they're pretty, but they're not something that you're like, oh, I have to keep this good forever. Yes. Oh, you don't know what a fat quarter is? So if you go to, yes, Joann Fabrics, if you go to Walmart to the craft section, you will find a fat quarter is usually for people who sew and they just want a piece of fabric that is not very big. They don't need a very big piece of fabric. Yep, I get scarves from thrift shops. That's an awesome idea. They don't have, they're not edged, so they have raw edges. See, they're not folded over or whatever, but they're this big. See, that's it. That's a fat quarter. And they're usually $1 or so at Walmart or Joann Fabrics or whatever. And they come in all kinds of different patterns and colors and all kinds of stuff. And they're like $1. Yeah, they're pre-cut 18 inches by 18 inches of fabric. So it's just called a fat quarter. I was gonna try to see. I've had fat quarters with skulls on them. Like around Halloweeny time, you can find fat quarters with skulls on them. Most of the holidays, they'll have like, you know, bunnies on them for Easter time. I try to look every once in a while because depending on what's around, they have different fabrics and stuff. And I just pick up, you know, 3 or 4 when I go in there because they're scarves at Goodwill. I look for tablecloths and stuff at Goodwill. Absolutely. It's not something that you have to, the bags I made for the witch runes were quarters. See? Perfect. Absolutely. You want to have, even for a simple altar, usually the first thing that you think of when you're making an altar, when you are a nature-based pagan anyways, is you want to have something that represents the elements. Each element should be represented on your altar in some way or another. So if you look at the altar tools that we've talked about so far tonight, each of them represents a different element. The cauldron can represent fire or water, depending on what you're doing in it. The chalice represents water. The athame represents fire or air, depending on how you feel about it. Wand, same thing, fire or air, depending on how you feel about it. The offering dish with salt in it represents earth. Is there any other reason to have an altar cloth besides protecting the surface of the table? Donna, I have an altar cloth because I like to make my altars look pretty. When I am making an altar, I want it to be aesthetically pleasing to both me and to the deities and the energies that I'm creating. So when I am creating an altar space, I am creating that altar for a specific intention, and I pick out an altar cloth that I feel that altar cloth raises that vibrational energy that I'm looking for. Yep. Yep. Seasonal color magic. Yes, absolutely. Yep. So sometimes I forget water. For me, water is a hard one for some reason for me. I think partly because I have no water in my chart. That water I don't really think about until like the last second sometimes. So I have things that go on every altar that I have so that I know I have always at least represented every element at one point or another. I have used these fake gems, and I will show you, for probably 10 years on my altar. I think I got them at the Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or something. They're literally plastic, but there's a red one. So I put that in the south end of the altar. The other reason I do that not only is to make sure I'm representing all the elements, but also because I am a squirrel and sometimes I'm like, oh shit, wait, which way was south? So if I put this on the south end of the altar, I know which way is south. Oh yeah, where's my red gem? There it is. There's south. Green is north. Those fake gems are perfect for nail art selfies. There you go. So I put that on the north end of my altar. Blue is west. I put that on the west end. And yellow is air. So I put that, yellow is air, which it is. I put that on the east end of my altar. So then when I'm in the middle of ritual and I'm like, I want to call the quarters in, which we'll talk about. We were supposed to talk about tonight. I don't know if we're good there. I don't have to go, oh yeah, wait, which way is north again? I can go, where's that green thing? Okay, north is this way. And I don't have to think about it anymore. So have a representation on your altar. Okay? It just makes it easy. If you can find something like that makes it easy, it's just, not only is it, okay, now you have something on your altar, but it also will remind you of where that element is. Painted stones, perfect. Yep. The other thing you can do is little candles. Red for south, fire. Green for north, earth. Blue for west, water. And yellow, or in this case gold, for east, air. So you can put different colored candles on each side. Be careful if you're doing that you don't have to reach across it, because you don't want to catch your sleeve on fire. Finally, the last altar tool I think that I'm going to be going over is the pentacle. I like to have some kind of pentacle on my altar as the focal point. Usually I put it in the middle. It can be a tile, like this is just a metal tile that you can put in the center of your altar as the focal point of your altar. This I've had for years now. It has a place for a candle in the middle of it. It's clay, and it has a little hole for incense if I want it to go in there too. That is also something you can use. A painted rock, perfect. Something that you can use as the pentacle. Usually it's in the middle of your altar, and it is just to represent what we're doing. It's to say, here we are. The pentacle is the very basic representation of what we believe in. So Christians have crosses, and we have pentacles for earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And so that is just what we want to represent in the center of our altar is perfect. I am going to represent what my beliefs are in the center of my altar. Dollar store candles in red, blue, green, white, purple. Perfect. Right? Perfect. And you can paint a rock. You can take a wood slice, which you can get wood slices sometimes at the Dollar Tree, at Michael's for really cheap. And I very often when we're doing altar kits, I'll have Peter paint a really cute pentacle on one of the wood slices. You can do the same thing for elements. In the wood slices, you can make the element symbol, the triangles. You can do that for your elements. I haven't figured out how to combine cross and pentacle. You know what, Sherry? Remind me of that again, because I bet you we could do something with like a Celtic cross. Do you know what a Celtic cross is? I have 100 of them downstairs. I probably don't have one up here, do I? A Celtic cross is a cross that has a circle kind of in the center. And I bet you we could do something like a Celtic cross and have the circle in the center with the pentacle. And it would be really pretty because the Celtic crosses are gorgeous, and I can't believe I don't have one up here. But I bet you that would look really pretty. Remind me, like, message me or something, and I'll try to show you a Celtic cross and see if that's something that you like. We could probably, do that. Okay, so altar setups. When you are setting up an altar, you are setting up an altar for a specific purpose, either for a magical working or for a Sabbath. So I have an altar that I set up each Sabbath. That is like my main focal point altar. I have an altar that is Dana's healing altar. So I have a crystal grid on it set up all the time. And then I have little altars around the house. Sometimes I have a prosperity altar going because I need extra prosperity in my life. Very often that will be coughing, self-isolate, I know. That will be at the front door. Sometimes I have an altar going outside for a specific working. An altar does not have to be an elaborate setup. It can be a candle with a stone next to it. It can be, something very simple. An altar is just a area that you set up with intention for a specific purpose. I have to tell you guys about a funny story about me coughing, because if you've seen my channel enough, you know that because I talk a lot and loudly and kind of quickly sometimes. I inhale my own spit a lot. So in the midst of all this, I was at the main office yesterday and did a post clip. Somebody had a biopsy and I did a post clip picture, and you have to walk them right over to the doctor to show them the image and say, okay, I have a post clip, look at the post clip and tell me if this woman is done or not. No, they have not. And of course I'm walking the paper into her and I inhale my own spit and start coughing, like choking on my own spit hysterically. Now I have to tell you that the doctors are so paranoid at this point that they will not answer their phones unless it's on there. They tell people to call their cell phones because they won't pick up the office phones anymore. So here I am coughing, got like choking coughing. And here, post clip. And the doctor literally backed right away from me. She's like, Jen, go out. And I'm like, I'm choking on my spit. I am not coughing because I'm sick. And she's like, why are you here? I said, Dr. Iyer, I am not sick. I'm choking on my spit. Just take the post clip. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't want me here, you can tell Tammy I have to go home. And she's like, oh no, I'm not being responsible for that. She's funny. Okay. Yes, I do that constantly. I'm terrible. All right, let's talk really quickly. There's no way I can do this. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm never going to get this. Okay. How do they not know this about you? Well, because, Danny, I am not at the main office very much. I have to say, because they always ship me out to the outer offices, I'm not there very much. And I haven't been there in a good 6 months because I've been at the outer offices more. So I don't usually have to deal with the docs. So I'm not there very much anymore. Okay. We are supposed to go over ritual setup and spell work. It's been an hour and 39 minutes. How are we doing? Are you guys okay? Are you with me still? Do you want me to break this up and do another one tomorrow? I have to do Ostara tomorrow. Good. Okay. Last shift, we had a 3:30 run to a nursing home. I have allergies and my partner smokes, so we were coughing and sitting in the squad like, we can't walk into this nursing home. I know. As soon as you do that, as soon as you cough at all, it doesn't matter if you like choke, if you whatever, as soon as you cough, everybody looks at you like, oh my goodness, what the hell are you doing out and about in the world? Okay. Let's talk about ritual then. Ritual is specifically when you have an intention that you want to set and you want to be a bit more formal about it. Now, it doesn't have to, ritual does not mean that you have to do an entire, like what you see me do for the Sabbats. You don't have to do that every time you do a ritual. That can be a ritual, so a beginning, middle, and end, and it's for a very specific purpose. Ritual, though, can be when you are casting a circle, calling in the elements and the gods and goddesses, to help you raise an intention that you feel you need more help than just the altar tools that you have gotten together. Oh, I forgot to mention, guys, just as one last thing, because I only brought up my incense, but herbs are a good magical tool also. Okay? Understand that every herb has its own energetic workings, and you can use that to raise the vibrational energy. So herbs are definitely a magical tool in this context. Okay. Yes, I enjoy long rituals too. Absolutely. I also enjoy, that's okay, Danny. I understand, honey. I also enjoy casting a circle to do some healing for somebody. What I consider to be a ritual is when I want to cast a circle for something. And why would you do that? I believe we've talked before about when you cast a circle, you're doing that to protect the energy that you are inflaming, that you are building. You're doing that so that you are in a place and time that is outside space and time. What does that mean? It means that when we take our wand or our athame or our finger and we direct energy and we say, I am casting this circle. And there's very formal poetry ways to cast your circle. And there is very informal telling it what you want to do. You can do either. Whatever works for you. You cast with your staff. Purpose. Perfect. How did I say purpose? Perfect. Jen, can you put one of those yellow markers on the progress bar? And if anyone wants to leave now, how do I do that? I wish I could. I didn't know I could do that. Yellow markers on the progress bar. Oh, can I go in and do that after? I don't know how to do that. I'm so bad, Leanne. It's terrible. I have no idea. Oh, you don't know how to do it either. I might be able to do it afterwards, Leanne. I'll look. It must be something you can do after. So what are we at? We're at 1 hour and 43 minutes. Well, let me write it down. 1:43. Okay. Okay, so time thing it and it will mark it. Time thing it. What's that? Nope. Go back. Oh, go back. Go back. No. Oh shit, that's not what I want. Go back. I just want normal. Go back. Shit. Well, thanks, guys. Oh, you should see a line. Yeah, I don't know how to time thing it. Save highlight. Maybe. I don't know. I just saved a highlight, whatever that means. That might be it. Yes. Okay, good. Maybe that's it. Took me 3 minutes to figure that out. All right. Anyways, outside of space and time. So when you are casting your circle, you are first cleansing the space. You are walking around the area that you want to cast the circle, and you are saying, I am delineating. I am making a line in the sand here. What you're actually doing is making a sphere around your area of presence that goes through the earth and underneath, so it connects at the bottom and up through the sky and connects at the top. It's an entire circle all the way around you that protects you from the outside world. And you can also go back after the video and add timestamps. Ah, cool. Thank you. And also protects what's inside the circle from getting out before it's time. Protective bubble, exactly. When you do that, you are saying that this working is in a time and space of its own. It is not in the time frame that you're technically doing it in. And so why would you do that? I talk about that all the time when we do ritual here for Sabbath, that when I cast a circle here, anyone in the future who goes back to watch that video, who goes back and joins their energy into that ritual, into that working, their energy was already there when we did it, because it was outside of time. It is not in the space-time continuum line. Your energy is there with us because it is not in a specific space. It is in a magical working space all its own. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of a out there concept to grasp, but you think it matters what color energy you work with. Lavender seems to be natural for me for most cases, except for the most pure and high healing, then white yellow. You absolutely will feel the color of energy that you need to feel, and it will be different for a lot of different people. When they teach you Reiki, they teach like white energy. I think they try to teach you white energy is what I think they try to teach. And my healing energy is always green. Always. Except for when I do violet breath. But that is a different kind of healing. But that's because I believe my energy comes from Mama Gaia. So I pull through my feet her energy to then place into what I'm doing. My nerd witch honors the nerd witch in you. And so absolutely you will get the color of energy that works for you. And don't let anyone tell you, blue is my energy healer. Absolutely. I have heard blue a lot. Don't let anyone tell you that your energy, your healing energy has to be this color and your this energy has to be that color. Absolutely not. Whatever color energy works for you is what will come out. And it will be different. I talk about there's a silver gray kind of energy that when you, when I got, when I did like my Reiki and my Reiki master healing and stuff, a lot of people talked about seeing this white light energy bathe over them. And I don't know if it's because I get migraines or what, but for me, that energy that bathed over me was like a silver gray kind of energy. And it was beautiful, but it was not too bright for me. You know, like I didn't feel like I had to look away because it was too bright. That's okay. You don't have to know where it comes from. That color I see my energy is black. That's cool. How interesting that is. That's really cool. Sorry, I'm getting distracted now. I'm like, black energy. That's really neat. I wonder if anyways, okay. So when you are doing ritual, you are doing it for a specific purpose. Ritual in itself, the word ritual for me, when I say ritual, we are talking about casting a circle and calling in elements and deity, if you believe in deity, in order to help you with a specific working that you feel you want as much energy as you can get for that working. When we talk about calling in energy, calling, people will say, call the quarters. You are calling the energy of the elements. So there are a million different quarter calls, and I will post some of them in the notes. I'm sure you've seen in movies, I'm trying to think, what is it? The Craft, I think, that talks about, and they call in, when they do a circle, they call in the guardians of the watchtowers, I think, of the East, power of air, guardians of the watchtowers of the West. That's a real thing. That is a real way to call the quarters. You can call on specific pieces of wind. You can call on hurricane energy, in other words, to come forth. You can call on earthquake energy to come forth. There's lots and lots of different ways to call the quarters in. Do you have to do that? No, not necessarily. I would not call it a ritual, though, unless you are creating that vibrational space and calling in some kind of elemental or deity to help you protect the circle and work the workings that you're doing. Does that make sense? There's a difference between just doing an everyday magical working and doing a ritual. To me, a ritual means you're calling the circle, you're calling the quarters. You don't have to do that if that's not how you do ritual. But a ritual is a little bit different than doing, like I do magical workings all the time. I will create a spell and light a candle and want that energy to work. I don't have to call a circle. I don't have to create a circle to do everything that I do. But I wouldn't call that a ritual. That would be a different thing. Does that make sense? In song or music, that's awesome. That's perfect. Sometimes I call upon my ancestors to guard my circle instead of elementals. There you go. Perfect. Yep. Absolutely. Depending on what kind of working you're doing. So when you want to do your own rituals, you can look up rituals that other people have done. And when I talk about doing different Sabbat rituals, I have 12 different Sabbat books. And sometimes I will look through all of them and pick out, oh, I kind of like the energy of this thing, and I'll pick out this thing and I'll add it to this thing and I'll pull that thing in. I don't write a whole lot of like poetic words and stuff, even though I could, but I don't take the time to do that. So I will pull in different elements from different rituals that other people have done, or I will wing it. I'm kind of a person that likes to wing it a lot. So the ritual piece of it, you can pull in other things for that other people have written and make it your own, in other words. Ritual work is very specific. Everyday spell working is different. Everyday spell working, you can do a different spell every 2 minutes. I do a spell sometimes as I'm sitting here getting ready to do our videos. I will light a candle and do a quick, which reminds me, how's our candle doing? Ooh, getting all over the place. Ooh, that's cool. I love what this did. I'm going to wait for it to dry, but pretty cool. I will do, as I'm sitting here, I will light a candle and do a working to build the energy for, whatever we're talking about, the crystal energy. I want to build a bunch of crystal energy and help my brain find the knowledge that it's trying to find. And that can be a quick spell. Why is that a spell and not just a prayer or a chant? Because I added something to increase that energy. To me, that's what makes it a spell. It is a spell when I create an intention and then I add at least one thing to it to increase the vibrational energy of that spell. So if I light a candle, if I pull out an herb, if I grab something that is the color of fire energy, if I pull a couple crystals and put crystals in my pocket, that makes it a spell instead of just a chant or and I don't mean to say just a chant like that's nothing. But when you raise that vibrational energy, then that makes it a spell. Does that make sense, guys? We're almost done. I'm almost done. Tomorrow's supposed to be 60s. Yay! Oh, I hope so. Please, please, please. I call my bedtime routine a ritual. And that's okay. You can still call it that. I'm just telling you, when I think of ritual, I am talking about it's more formal. I'm casting a circle to protect what I'm doing. And spell work to me is I have gathered things together to create, to intensify the energy of my intention. And chanting and prayer and that kind of thing is announcing my intention out loud. Okay? Away when I do spell or ritual, right? There you go. Perfect. Does that make sense? Do we have questions? I feel like there will be lots and lots of examples in the notes. I'll put examples of circle casting, of calling quarters, of tools, of rituals and how to make rituals. Yes, yes, yes. Any questions about what we've gone over tonight? Make sure you click that like button before you go. Can you all see my shirt tonight? Did I show this one before? Yay! I know we did. It was a lot of information tonight, and I knew it was going to be a big one. I hope that it wasn't too overwhelming for you guys. Keep in mind that the stuff that I'm teaching is really for you to then take this information and the examples that I give you and run with it and experiment. Remember, we talked about in the very beginning of this, we should be like toddlers. This is the opportunity for us to put everything that we find in our mouth, to explore everything that we can explore, because we don't know what will work for us yet. We want to figure out what energies work for us and what that means. And that's why a book of shadows or a journal or something is a good idea to keep that, so that you remember what worked. You do not get homework tonight. Tomorrow I will post some homework. It won't be a whole lot of homework because I know this is a lot. My dirty mind putting things in mouth. I was waiting for it, Cherry Bug. I didn't think it would be you, but I was waiting for it. I have a homework question, but can't remember it. Jackie, bring it next time, or you feel free to ask Pat or me or Steven or Leolyn or any of my admins. You can ask for help with the homework if you want. No problem. You're welcome to message me, especially this week because I'm off now. So I will be posting homework tomorrow with the notes. It won't be a really long homework this time because I know that we will also have some stuff Friday. Tomorrow is Ostara. If you are in our hemisphere, if you're in Australia, then tomorrow is Mabon for you. So I will be on probably tomorrow morning at some point to talk about what Ostara is. And then tomorrow night, I will do some kind of something for Ostara. I told you before, I'm not going to do a big ritual this time just because it has been failing. Don't even worry about it. I'm not even prepared. My Imolka altar is still up. Honestly, I have not gotten the time together to get ready for Ostara. So we will do just like a simple meditation. I kind of feel like it's a meditation. I've said that several times, so it must be the universe wants me to do a meditation. But we will do something for Ostara, and I will come on at some point tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon when I wake up. I'm not going to wake up till I wake up, my eyes open all by themselves. But when I do wake up, I will do a video about what Ostara is and what it represents and what we can use to represent that. Okay? Be safe with each other. Stay inside if you can. That's okay, Sherry Bug. Me too. Me too. I'm going to have to kind of skip Ostara a little and move on to Beltane after this. That's okay. It sometimes it absolutely happens. And I love Ostara. I have great Ostara altars. My previous Ostara altars rocked. Just isn't happening this year. I pulled out my moon gazing hair tonight and put it on my Imolk altar, and I took the bed off. That's as far as I've gotten. All right. I love you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. I will start sending out self-dedication rituals at some point, either tomorrow or Friday morning. I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. I know. I love Ostara too, and it just hasn't had enough time. And that has to be okay sometimes, guys. Come on. The world is kind of going a little crazy right now. So we have to forgive ourselves. We're not perfect human beings. Right? We just have to know that we do what we can. And that has to be okay. All right. I love you guys so, so, so much. Be good. Be good to each other. Take care of yourselves. Stay inside if you can. And I will see you tomorrow. Good night.